This Week in Startups is brought to you by DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is the fastest growing cloud infrastructure provider built for developers. With state-of-the-art data centers around the world, DigitalOcean is laser focused on its mission to simplify infrastructure for development teams. Visit DigitalOcean.com/twist and get $10 credit to spin up a server in 55 seconds. And Wistia. Take control of your video marketing with powerful tools and analytics built specifically for business. Go to Wistia.com/twist to get your free Wistia account today.
That's what it's all about, man. They said, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups, and this is our news roundtable edition where I talk to journalists about what's in the news. And today, two of the great journalists in technology are with us. Molly Wood is with us. Of course, she was with CNET and then the New York Times, and now she is the senior tech correspondent at Marketplace. You can follow her on the Twitter at Molly Wood. Welcome back to the program, Molly.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here as always.
How is Marketplace going?
It's wonderful. I love it there.
I love Marketplace.
Marketplace is so great.
It's awesome.
You just
Great
get to be
content.
like smart and a little bit snotty.
Yeah.
And it's just the life.
Have you refined your NPR voice? Has it changed now that you're broadcasting at a public radio station?
Oh, because it's Marketplace, so I get
Right.
to be smart and a little bit snotty. I don't have to do that.
Yes,
It's the best
okay.
of both worlds.
Absolutely. Also joining us here on KQED, the sound of San Francisco. That's my NPR voice. Is Nellie Bowles. Nellie Bowles, of course, started at Recode, and before that, San Francisco Chronicle, the Cron, and now at The Guardian. Congratulations. I don't know if you've been on the program since you joined The Guardian.
I haven't. I just joined about a month ago. I love the idea of working for places where it's really made for public interest. Like it's made for reporting things that will hopefully make people's lives better. I don't know. I feel super heady about it. I get all giddy in the morning now. I'm into it.
It's like when you think about journalism and how important it is in the public space, you look at some of the work that's been done. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Spotlight, the film. Have you seen Spotlight yet?
Yeah, of course.
You saw Spotlight?
Not yet.
Oh my God. You have to see it.
I take my
I have a
cues
new
from
baby.
there.
Yeah. What's that?
I said I have a new baby puppy.
Baby puppy,
I don't
yes.
leave the house.
Spotlight's amazing. It's like literally one of the 5 best, maybe top 3 journalism films ever made. But anyway, it is great that you guys are here doing journalism. Speaking of journalism, the Theranos story continues on and on. And the Wall Street Journal, John Carreyrou, who was on the program, I don't know if you guys saw, I had him on for like 90 minutes talking about it. I mean, what an amazing, epic, crazy story. Where do you think this is going to wind up, Molly? And are you guys tracking it over there at Marketplace, or is it because it's not public, not
No, I mean, I'm absolutely fascinated by this story. And I think where it ends, what's interesting is I just had a conversation yet to air with the guy who runs basically digital tech for the FDA. And digital tech developments, tracks them and advises the FDA in terms of policy. And what I think is that this leads to a whole different regulatory environment when it comes to new technologies, new promises from these companies. And it should, honestly. There has got to be a gatekeeper who's equipped, both financially and in terms of science and knowledge and medical awareness, to deal with this sort of assumption that the entire medical industry can be turned over and disrupted, and that somehow you should just trust that it's going to work out fine. And also, I think Theranos goes away forever.
Yeah. Nellie, it seems like this sort of culture of disruption, it was really fantastic with video games and email and chat and, productivity software, but disrupting blood tests?
Yeah, when it comes to biotech, I mean, the smoke and mirrors don't work. These are human lives, and it's wacky. Yeah. I mean, you see it in a lot of this sort of science techie, like with Hampton Creek or Hampton Foods, Hampton Creek.
Hampton Creek.
That
Hampton
also
Foods?
was like a little bit.
Hampton Creek, you're right.
Hampton Creek.
Also was a little bit like shady science, maybe. And so, I don't know. I went yesterday. There was this big biotech startup event where a bunch of biotech startups were presenting.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to cover it, and I thought it was going to be like biotech is the startups are chastened by what's happened with Theranos. And I went, and it's like gangbusters.
Yeah.
It's like, it was like a part, there were 400 people, it was noon, and there were drink tickets, and people were like, the whole thing was, whole thing was like unbelievable. So there's this, biotech seems like the space where there's a lot of like silly money still in a lot of ways, and investors who don't know necessarily what's real and what's not, and they're easily swayed by a fancy slideshow.
We had
but there's
this,
also real stuff there. You can't totally dismiss it.
clearly the technology is there, but now you have entrepreneurs coming into it and taking a .com-like approach or a Web 2.0 approach. It doesn't seem in sync, is what I'm hearing from you both. And we had Cambrian Genomics on the program, and tragically the founder, shortly after he was on this program, like 6 months later, killed himself. And then everybody I talked to, because I was thinking about investing, and I hope I'm not speaking out of school, but I had people who were, the savviest people I know were like, look at the roster of people investing. The people investing have no experience in biotech.
Yeah.
Right.
Theranos seemed to have the same issue. The people who were investing and the people who were on the board were like Henry Kissingers of the world. Bit of a red flag.
Well, there's like a God complex in Silicon Valley where people think they like understand disruptions, they understand every industry, and there's no sense of like a limit to where your knowledge could be.
Well, and exactly. And I am curious actually as to your perspective on this, Jason, because where do the checks and balances come in when a company is new like that, when they're private, when they control all of the access to their labs, to their scientific founding, to discoveries, to the technology they claim to have? Yeah. It's very hard to do those checks and balances. And the fact is, the FDA did raise concerns when they visited Theranos' labs, and Theranos went ahead anyway, like with the God complex, with that profound arrogance that comes from the idea that you can change the world.
Journalists, speaking of journalism, journalists went right along with it. I mean, we were hook, line, and
putting them on the
sinker.
cover, putting Elizabeth. Do you think this
journalists? We also are not experts in this. I don't know the science behind blood testing, and so if we write about these things, I think we also write about them like, oh, it's a startup. They've got funding. Henry Kissinger's on the board, rather than going deeper and actually like getting third-party scientists. It's questioning harder.
Yeah, it seems like questioning harder is the demise of investigative journalism. And journalists who aren't under constant pressure to publish 5 blog posts a day. I mean, let's face it, like TechCrunch, like to call it journalism is kind of like a little bit of a stretch. Like,
I mean, some of what they do is like public service in its own way to the tech community.
I mean, when you write a story.
That was so nice of you.
No, but they don't have, like when you write a story based on a press release and you don't call Google to confirm that the company was caught. You remember they did that one? They they literally wrote that somebody had been bought by Google and the company didn't exist or whatever, and it was just somebody like sending a press release. They don't even call and do fact checking at TechCrunch. So,
well, we can't all be the Guardian.
Well, exactly. You don't have the resources. But to your point, Molly, within the question you had, which is, how is this going to affect private companies? It's a big discussion right now. I can tell you amongst not necessarily my peers as angel investors, but sort of the next group of people, the Series A, Series B people. Theranos wasn't really a Silicon Valley company, even though it feels like a Silicon Valley company, because no Silicon Valley investors, except for Tim Draper, who put up the initial money. Nobody else really put the money in after that. It was all these like weird private equity firms, and they were kind of like playing off of the Stanford, Elizabeth dropped out of college kind of situation. But I can tell you, it has been the height of arrogance of entrepreneurs in the last couple of years to say, I don't want to have a board. I want to have control of my company. I don't want governance. And doing a party round, which is, 50 people invest $50K. Nobody's on the board. I didn't give up control. And then when Circa died, Matt Galligan said, hey, my number one regret was I didn't have a board because I didn't have a lead investor, but I had raised millions of dollars. So when things were coming apart, I didn't have any board to like go to and take it seriously. So governance for these private companies is critical. And this idea that the founder has to be empowered is like, maybe a lot of founders need a little bit of adult supervision and some guidance. And Austin Hines killing himself is obviously a key example of that. He could have used more guidance. Marion from Zurcher, which I was an investor in, didn't have a lot of board guidance. There was one board member who wasn't very experienced. Circa, another company with no board members, nobody to really care about it. It's a reoccurring theme. So with startups I'm investing in.
If you have board guidance, that gets in the way of your sort of founder myth of the 19-year-old rising up and
being smarter than everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
none of those people are the outliers. Is that something, though, that you feel like the VC community can influence? Because if I were an investor at this point, if I were either a company or an angel, I'd be saying, absolutely not. 19-year-old hothead. Like, no way do I think that you all by yourself are equipped to do this in any way, and I will not give you money unless you agree to governance.
Have governance, yeah. It's a when the market is hot.
You fix it, Jason. You fix it.
Well, I do actually. I have there's a thing called a side letter when you invest, and I have a side letter that is, I need a monthly update, and in terms of information rights, at any point I can ask you to give me the bank account, login, the iTunes login, and all this data, and I specifically put Google Analytics, like I put the names of the products or similar products, because I've had situations where companies just don't give us information, and I'm like, okay, in one case I had to invoke, because there was a little bit of like shady stuff going on, I invoked our information rights. And the person's like, we're going to send you a quarterly report. And my lawyer sent them a thing and said, by the way, here's the paragraph that you signed on information rights. You see where it says bank account information, this and at any time? That time is now. Like the company went out of business. But it definitely needs to be a thing where we have more of this in place. But the reason it happens, Molly, is let's say the three of us are angel investors and producer Jackie's got the greatest idea in the world. And she hears from her Y Combinator cohorts that they got a $15 million valuation and nobody has a board seat. And they're like, well, I want what that person has. In fact, I want to have 16 million and I want to have even more control. I want super shares. So this like sense of entitlement out of Y Combinator or other places and competition between the angels to get in the deal has led to this dysfunction.
Yeah. What's happening with there's this, seems to be this anxiety among the VC community of Y Combinator versus 500 startups versus.
All right, when we get back from commercial break, I will
break that down.
Exactly why VCs are publicly stating that they are not going to demo day anymore, and the VCs are, in fact, a lot of the most powerful ones are not going to demo day anymore, and the amazing tension between Sam Altman and his vision for Y Combinator and the rest of the industry in terms of scaling it to very large proportions when we get back from this break. Let me take a moment. It's a decent teaser?
Super smooth. I like
pretty
the
good teaser,
especially.
right?
That's a good teaser.
Pretty good teaser, I feel.
Glad I lobbed that up for you.
Exactly. Thank you. Boom. Check out. So listen, DigitalOcean is an amazing hosting company. We use them here, and it's the best place to get your application off the ground, and it's the easiest way to scale. Simple cloud hosting, built for developers. Over 550,000 developers are using it so far. Hey, and their secret is to deploy SSD drive cloud servers in 55 seconds, and it's super affordable. Plans start at only $5 a month. You can do customized infrastructure, or you can just do one of those one-click images for all the popular frameworks, including Node.js, Magento, Docker. It's a super simple API, and the clients include myself, TaskRabbit, Universe.com, Flywheel, Compose, and the CMO, Mitch Weiner, was a guest actually on This Week in Startups in 2010, and he asked me for my advice, and I said, join a high-growth startup. And you know what he did? He went to an incubator, and he joined DigitalOcean, and now it's all come full circle. 5-6 years later, he's an advertiser, and Andreessen Horowitz invested in the company. Fantastic company. They're crushing it, and they're giving credits to all of my incubator companies and other incubator companies. What a great company. Super easy to use and super fast. They're really disrupting the cloud space. DigitalOcean.com/twist for a $10 credit. DigitalOcean.com/twist for $10 credit. And you can follow at DigitalOcean. Not a bad ad read. But you don't have to do them at Marketplace. No, you have to, but you have to do something else. On Marketplace, don't you have to say like, Marketplace is brought to you by the support of the blah, 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 blah.
Well, I don't have to say that.
Somebody says that.
Somebody says that.
You just like doing your NPR voice.
We have underwriting, and I have had to say, okay, here you go, just for you.
Let me hear it. Close my eyes.
Marketplace is a listener-supported program. We depend on donations from listeners like you. To donate to Marketplace, please go to marketplace.org.
Wow.
It was
that was really good.
Thanks. Beautiful.
You have that. You have that
I feel
on
a little
lockdown.
sleepy.
I feel like. I mean,
If I try to do that kind of voice, it sounds like a sex hotline.
I was
about to say that was pretty sultry.
I am blushing a little bit because I felt like I went a little right at the
I
end.
want to give to Marketplace. Where's my wallet?
I went just a little porny at the end, and I didn't mean to.
Marketplace is supported by you and you alone.
Wow. So are we back? Is this on?
We're back.
Is this thing working?
Boy, are we ever. We're back and better than ever.
And good morning.
Let me ask you, ladies, this. Since you are ladies, and since the story of...
Jason, I'm getting nervous. Be very careful.
Brace yourselves.
Tread
No, I
lightly.
was going to ask you about Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes being a woman. And how you think that, because listen, probably the biggest story of last year was Ellen Pao, women's representation in technology. And now we have what could be, or what, I mean, Molly, you said it's probably not going to be here. I believe the company's gone, and I believe that there's probably some level of malfeasance, fraud, or delusional behavior that the end result of is any other reasonable person would say that's fraudulent. Yeah. That's what I think is going on. That's a guess. Well, how does this play into the narrative of women leaders in Silicon Valley getting venture capital, if at all? How do you look at that, Nellie? I have my own opinion, but I'm interested in yours.
I don't think it's a factor at all. I think the only gendered thing I notice about it is the way that everyone who writes a story about the company has to talk about her turtleneck and the fact that she wears black.
Yes.
Like, the obsession with her clothing is very strange in her look. I don't think we'd talk the same way about sort of a charlatan male founder.
Gotcha.
I don't think it has a big impact. I personally, I think that argument is flawed. I don't know.
This is actually one of the rare cases where it is not a factor. I do think that it was a factor to some extent in the fawning before.
Got it, yes.
Not necessarily her gender, but the fact that here's this young, attractive woman who's really photogenic. And I mean, I think people wanted to boost her in a way.
Well, in the same way that, again, the Hampton Creek guy, I don't know if you've ever met him, but he was like a
hunky guy.
Strapping,
Totally. I've had him on the
football
stage.
player from like Alabama, whatever.
Makes for a good cover.
Exactly.
Yes.
If they're
and
good
if you're
TV,
Inc. or entrepreneur or fast company, you need somebody good looking on the cover.
Exactly. And I don't even think it's gendered,
it's just like
attractiveness.
Like charisma's charisma.
Sure.
Like someone who's charismatic is going to get somewhere in this world.
But I don't think it's going to lead to, it is certainly not going to lead to a backlash against female founders or anything like that. I mean, I think if anything, it's great, right? Because we'll never be truly equal unless we are able to be as corrupt and useless and fail as hard as a man.
I think that's a really interesting point, Molly, is like, if women are going to be represented fully, then there has to be one that's a fraud or a criminal or Sheryl Sandberg and President of the United States eventually. Like, there needs to be a range of outcomes. And one of the outcomes is somebody could be a charlatan, or somebody could be a failure, or somebody could be a huge success. Like, Marissa's a failure now, right? It's going to wind up being a failure. Cheryl's going to wind up being, like, literally the vice president or president. I mean, she's going to run for president. I have the inside info.
I don't know. Well,
eventually.
Mumble.
Mumble. I have the inside information.
Oh,
she's going to run for
Cheryl's
office.
running?
No, that's
not now. But this is my belief.
That's
my belief. Because you know why? Listen, when I brought it up amongst company, and people were like, that's an interesting observation. And I was like, my poker reading was like, I think that, like, when you write the book and you do that tour, and like Carly Fiorina and some other people have sort of been on this trajectory. Who's the other one who was at eBay?
Meg Whitman.
Meg Whitman. So you have like this sort of trajectory of like female business leader, writes a book, is a great leader, charismatic, then office.
I have many times heard her staff described as a campaign staff. I mean, she has got
I don't
that the way that she has structured
I
people
think
around
that
her.
she has more power in her position right now than any politician on earth. I think
for sure. But what do you do after that? What's the follow-up?
The process is brutal, and I don't think I don't see it. I mean, I'd love it, but I don't see it.
A Bloomberg Sheryl Sandberg ticket?
Oof. Oh my God.
Oof.
Fascinating.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Isn't there a tiny part of you that just right now thinks like, please do that? Just come on.
No, I've been begging Bloomberg on Twitter, like just pandering. Please, for the love of God, can we get a candidate who knows what they're doing?
Why is Silicon Valley so enamored with Bloomberg? What about him? Is he's also sort of the charismatic founder figure?
Yeah, I mean, he is a very like GSD kind of guy. GSD. Get sugar done, get ish done. Ish is what the kids call it this day.
Are we not allowed to swear?
I guess I can say get shit done. But anyway, he's a GSD guy. We all love GSD, right?
Yes.
Like if you're productive and you're like,
love it
you
at
got a
all
punch
costs
list.
and combined with a God complex.
Exactly.
That's why he's our guy.
Jason, you promised me you were going to break down what's going on Twitter between you guys and Sam Altman and all these characters.
Yes, and I'm going to do that. Here's the thing. I know both of you are always looking for even bigger opportunities than you currently have. Breaking news, Theranos is hiring a writer. And that is the title, by the way, writer. Writer. It's in Palo Alto, so it's conveniently located.
For who?
The responsibilities include innovate and conceptually solve problems through the power of excellent storytelling.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
It's hard to read this because it feels like an SNL skit.
Problems.
This is wrong.
Solve problems. Integrate narratives. Utilizing film, books, television, retail, and emerging web entertainment, which I think is the webisodes that the kids are doing. Collaborate with the creative team on most projects. Is that a full sentence? Collaborate with the creative team on most projects? It's kind of like a fragment. I don't know. Anyway, requirements. It does require a bachelor's degree from a top-tier university with solid journalistic, creative marketing credentials, and fortunately for both of you, 3+ years experience as a junior copywriter or screenwriter.
Or screenwriter.
I didn't add that.
Please continue to write our fiction.
We would love
that.
I'm in.
Oh my God, Molly, that's so great.
I went right
no,
there,
it's perfect.
all the way there.
No, continue.
That's messed up.
You must be driven, both professionally and personally, and wear a black turtleneck. I made that up. Strong knowledge.
Poke you right in the face. I'm just kidding.
Strong. Here's the key where you're both going to need, all of us are going to need to do a little bit of brushing up because we use Google Docs now. Strong knowledge of Microsoft Word. Because if Theranos' problems are going to be solved, it's through a screenwriter who has a strong knowledge of Microsoft Word.
Wow. Also because they're like, we're not putting this stuff in the cloud where someone could find it.
Yeah, exactly. So to your question, Nellie, Y Combinator has always been a bit of a, let's say, sharp-elbowed. A lot of people who are VCs, it's not me saying this, like people have said this publicly, they feel like maybe not bullyish or sharp-elbowed in their approach, and they're the best incubator by far, right? And nobody's really ever challenged them here. So I think there's a little bit of like, people are a little bit tired of that, and then the number of companies that they're doing means the average quality has gone way down. So if the secret to Harvard is the percentage of people you accept, right? If you accept 1% of applicants and you get the best applicant pool, by definition, you've got the smartest people. When they get out, they're going to still be smart, hopefully smarter, regardless of what your product does. So Y Combinator, because of Paul's hard work in the beginning and no competition, right, just had this incredible run. And then I think Paul hit 80 companies in one class, and then Paul said, that's too many, I'm going to pull it back to 60. And then Sam took over, because Paul Graham, I think, my theory on it is Paul Graham, obviously calling in rich, made a ton of money. But I think also like it gets a little tiring to scale an organization like that. And then also he was becoming kind of a lightning rod for a lot of these social justice issues and women's issues. I mean, he just...
Oh, I know.
A lot of issues, he just says stuff that people are just like, you can think it or you can discuss it at a cocktail party, but you probably don't want to, as the leader of the most prestigious incubator, write a thesis on it. So there might have been a little bit of a thing of putting Sam in, like maybe it's time for Paul to play a smaller role and let other people take the stage. But Sam's very ambitious, a friend of mine. He wanted to go big, so he's raised the continuity fund, which is to do later stage rounds. And he upped it to, I think, 120 companies per class, which means demo day is now over 2 days, and the people go on stage for 2 minutes. And that means the amount of time you spend with the top partners at Y Combinator goes down, and the amount of attention you get is going to be different. So VCs have always been threatened by these incubators coming first, and so now by raising that continuity fund and competing with them for the equity in later rounds, that's really pissed off a lot of VCs. Because they're like, oh, Y Combinator wants to win it all, which is not true. They don't want to win it all. They still need to have partners. But the valuations became such an issue that every time anybody brought up valuations publicly on Twitter, Sam and Paul would come down on them, and then they would say, maybe you shouldn't come to demo day, like kind of as a threat.
On Twitter? I love the VCs.
Well, they would say it to you privately. So Sam's told me privately, maybe you shouldn't come to demo day. And I
got disinvited.
Well, it was a little bit of like a quasi-threat, which is what they always do. Like, maybe you shouldn't come to demo day if you publicly challenge stuff. And he's done it to a bunch of people.
That's intense.
Whatever. I don't care. I'm post giving a shit about anybody's opinion. What the fuck do I care? Anyway.
Look at his boots.
Look at my boots. I got kick-ass boots on. Anyway, the point is, that's the whole narrative that's gone on. I love Sam. I love Paul Graham. I think they're all cool people. But there is a little bit of this like circle the wagons mentality over there. And they're so ambitious and they're so successful, which of course is going to make it into a little bit of a back and forth. So like George Zachary was like, yeah, Y Combinator, I don't even go to demo day. And a lot of people have publicly said that. And actually when you go, you're like, where are all the powerful VCs? Like a lot of them don't show up anymore. And so it's a pretty much a standoff where they're going to be the full stack
Yeah.
Which is like, hey, we think we can take these companies all the way, and we have enough influence and power. We don't need anybody else. So that's this like weird tension that's brewing. And like Sam just wrote this like tone deaf piece. Like, our advice to you is that you don't go to any other incubators if you don't get accepted to Y Combinator, and just wait to be accepted into Y Combinator, because it will decrease your chances of going to Y Combinator. And then he was like, well, people are saying if you go to our incubator, you could wind up going to Y Combinator, which is true. They accept people from other people's incubators all the time. But that messes up the cap table, right? Because you just gave 7% to my incubator or Dave McClure's incubator. And now Sam doesn't want to come after and be the second, right? So this idea of you're going second, or, they went to, they're so, I don't want to use the word petty, but there's such ego involved in all of this, that to Sam, the fact that the last 2 hackathon winners for my hackathon went to Y Combinator, that burns him, I think. Or the fact that like one company might go to Dave's and then to his, or to Highway 1 and then to his, that to them makes them crazy. So it's just like elitist
because the company comes already with a chunk taken out by...
Yes, and they feel like they should get that chunk. So they basically froze the industry by saying, if you go to another incubator, it decreases your chance of coming here.
And then because
so think about how bullying that is.
Bullying.
It's pretty bullying. It's like saying to founders,
because this is Silicon Valley and these are VCs, everything is played out on Twitter.
Everything's played out on Twitter. And then, of course...
Which is my favorite part of the whole thing. It's VCs yelling at each other. It's great.
Well, then where are the founders in this? Are they just stuck and not getting... Their companies aren't moving forward?
So here's the thing.
What's happening to the broader economy? This is the marketplace question.
All right. This is a really... This is what happens when I get 2 journalists. Now you're making me the story. How did you guys do it again?
Well, we know you had a lineup, but we have questions. So many questions.
All right. After I read this ad break, I will tell you what this means for startups and what they should do.
This is good information.
Then Twitter.
And then Twitter and LinkedIn, good tease. LinkedIn going down 40%.
LinkedIn.
I love LinkedIn.
I love LinkedIn.
God, I
love
can't
Jeff.
wait for
Well, except for all the email.
The in-mail?
I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use that.
You know what? I have the
Die
inside
LinkedIn.
line on that. I'm going to get back to you on that one when we
Okay.
get back from this break. Hey, Wistia is an amazing product. I use it here at This Week in Startups. When you do YouTube videos on your personal website or your business's website, you know what happens? At the end, they see Gangnam Style in your competitors' videos, and then they get pulled off. And everything is about YouTube. You know what? When you use Wistia, you control the entire video experience, including maybe asking people for an email if they want to join your mailing list, and showing them the videos that you want to show them. And you have the metrics, not Google. You want to have your own private, protected, software as a service video product for your own website. You don't want to just dump your videos on YouTube. Sure, YouTube's great, other services are great, Vimeo, whatever. You want to have a professional service that you can control on your website. It's critical, and that's why I use Wistia. Who else uses it? MailChimp, Moz, HubSpot, Zendesk, Herman Miller, Sam Adams, everybody. And they are another one of these companies that's been with us for years. I started actually as a client, and then they started advertising because I kept talking about how great it is. 220,000 customers at the start of 2016. And when they sponsored us like 2 years ago, whatever, or a year ago even, it was like 50,000 people. So they are growing gangbusters. And in no small part to all of you as fans of the show, thanking Wistia on your Twitter account. Amazing analytics, trends, viewer streams, and you can capture these email addresses before and after a video plays. The other services like YouTube will never let you do that because all they care about is getting the users themselves and capturing the users themselves. I get hundreds of emails a month, actually thousands of emails a month of our own subscribers, which then lets me promote other things we're doing and invite you to events. Super critical to get that direct relationship. Super easy to use, lots of supports and new tools and features built specifically for marketers. Tons of resources to help you get off the ground. They have a great content marketing team over there because they do all these videos on how to use microphones and lighting, all this stuff, and how to do it on a nickel. So if you're going to do a podcast or a video show, go over there and just read their content. It's amazing. Start your 2-week trial for free. Wistia.com/twist, Wistia.com/twist. Of course, they're confident, so no credit card is required. That's what I always look for with one of our partners is, do they require a credit card? In this case, no, because they know you're going to love it. And you can upload as many videos as you like. I love Wistia. I give them my highest recommendation, and I would love to invest in them. Okay. What was your question again, Molly?
What's happening to the founders as they get sort of stuck in this incubator freeze out? Yeah.
So anyway, if you're an entrepreneur and you have a company, you don't have time to wait for the mighty Y Combinator to deem you worthy. And by the way, the total market cap of public Y Combinator companies, as one VC told me, 0. Mm-hmm. So this idea that you have to go to Y Combinator in order to be successful, is not true. So sometimes founders get in their head, like, if I go to Y Combinator, it solves all problems. I can tell you that it does not solve all problems. It helps you, it gets you on second base, but it doesn't do much more than that, right? You still have to run the business, and they would say that as well. So if you don't get into Y Combinator, you should go to other incubators, obviously, and grow and learn. And of course.
But so do you have any anecdotal evidence that founders are being scared off by this? That they're saying,
Well,
oh God, I don't want to go to this one?
I can tell you that if
they
you
don't
had
sound
your
like very
choice to
smart
go to Y
business people.
Combinator or 500 Startups or Techstars, you would go to Y Combinator. Because it would be like going from Harvard to, like, I don't know, NYU or something. I don't know. Not Harvard, right? Just based on the track record,
I was
right?
like, let me save you from
I know. I was like, I'm gonna let him just.
I'm not
go
going to say
with
community
this.
college, but here's the thing. If you just look at the outcomes, the outcomes from Y Combinator have been better. There's more billion-dollar companies. They have Airbnb. They have, I think, did Stripe go there? No, Airbnb went there. GitHub went there. Zenefits went there. So, they got a pretty good cohort of, like, amazing companies. Justin TV, that's another great one, right? That's $1 billion outcome too with Twitch when they pivoted to it. So yeah, you want to go to Y Combinator if you get there. But this idea that you wouldn't go anywhere else and you just keep waiting around for Y Combinator to finally, like, let you in, no, that's just dumb. You should just, as an entrepreneur, you don't have time to waste, like, waiting for them to anoint you. And that's the kind of, like, that's why there's a lot of jealousy of Y Combinator, because they've been so successful.
Yeah,
That's
makes
all.
sense.
And, like anything else, the stakes are incredibly high in what we do. And so, especially if people become successful, they become incredibly petty. And they all think they're geniuses. So if you happen to get lucky enough to invest in the unicorn or, like, have some great outcome, a lot of people actually then start to attribute it to themselves.
Yeah.
And they think they're geniuses.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed knowing that I'm dumb because I had a 71 average. So I don't in any way.
Where I thought he was going to go.
That's why we put up with you, Jason.
I'm so free. It's like, I know I got lucky investing in Uber and Thumbtack and Wealthfront. Like, I know I'm lucky. So I don't ever attribute any of what's happened to me in this life to me being brilliant. It's me being a great networker and having a good podcast that people know who I am and whatever. It's just networking.
Yeah.
But these other people, I think they actually think that they're the investors or the incubator heads. They actually think that, like, they're responsible in some way for the success of the founder. And that's where you get this, like, weird disconnect.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There you go. You broke it down for us.
I know. Thanks.
So you're saying,
It's
like,
super
angel
controversial. Nobody
investing-
wants to talk about this stuff on air.
Is this controversial? It
It is because
like high
if you
school.
piss off Y Combinator, they have been vindictive in the past.
Okay.
They have banned people from coming to the event, many people, from coming to demo day. And the way they say it is, well, if you don't like Y Combinator that much, then maybe you won't get an invite to the next demo day. To which I said to Sam, no, it's a true story. And I said to Sam, by the way, Sam, I'm the #1 angel investor in the world. Me coming to demo day is helping you. If I don't show up at demo day, that looks bad to you. When I go there, there's a line of people to talk to me. Your founders want me as an investor. I'm like number
How do you guys get over it? Do you, like,
one, two.
chest, like,
Well, no, but
run at each
it is a
other?
little bit like that, actually.
I don't know how it works.
It's sort of like that, actually. When you're at the top of this game, it's like a little bit like that. Like, and then he's like, well, well, maybe, we don't need to. And I was like, well, listen, I want to come early. So, like, it's like a whole, like, weird negotiation. I was like, I want to meet the companies early. He's like, we don't do that. I was like, yes, you do. I can tell you the 6 or 7 investors you let in early. So that's the other thing they don't want anybody to talk about. They front run the market. So the 6 or 7 investors who are allowed to come early to see the companies, like, they're, like, close friends, like, super powerful people in Silicon Valley get to go early. And then everybody else goes on demo day. And guess what? The top 10 companies have already been funded.
This is like Blockbuster.
It's so fantastic.
I don't care. You know what? I'm super candid today. I don't care.
I love it.
You know what? I don't care.
This doesn't seem...
I don't. If Y Combinator wants to ban me forever, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me because all the companies.
Quotable. I'm tweeting it.
No, you can tweet it.
Oh,
Because here's
God.
the thing. Look, I look in the camera right now. All YC
no.
founders.
Oh, no.
You know how to reach me. If you want to have coffee or be on the show or come to the launch festival or have me as an angel investor, you can email me, jason@launch.co. I don't need to come to demo day.
I love today.
You're like,
This is why you're
blink
our
twice
favorite.
if you need me to free you.
All right, let's do a story here.
All right. Yeah, what
let's
do you
let's
want
go
to talk
this.
about,
Enough about
Jason?
me. You guys got me again. All right, listen. LinkedIn is having a rough day. The stock has plummeted 40%. And that's like about $10 billion in market cap, by the way. The danger of weak guidance in a shaky market, how investors now seem sure that every sign of weakness is a sign of the apocalypse. They're latest quarter surpassed expectations at 862 million, but their guidance for next year was that it was going to come down. Molly, what's going on with LinkedIn?
Next quarter, I think.
Next quarter,
yeah. No, I think that is the line I wrote in the email, which is the danger of weak guidance, because I think the last time I was on the show, we talked about how there are triggers. We all have a little PTSD from the first .com boom, and then
trigger warning.
This is a trigger warning. This is a trigger warning, and the market is so spooked that a crash is incoming, that a crash is imminent,
right?
That anything at this point, and yes, there are a million other factors going on in terms of the market itself, and so investors are spooked across the board because China. But at this point, if there's weak guidance from something that was a unicorn or is a tech darling, or there's any reason to doubt the health of the tech economy, I think these investors are going to find it. I think they're just freaked. And let's be honest, everybody's kind of annoyed by LinkedIn right now.
Yeah, well,
get it together, LinkedIn. Like stop
on a
emailing
product
me.
basis about the emails.
Stop emailing me. Still, like how many friggin' years have we been asking LinkedIn to please, God, I beg you,
it's a hard problem to
stop
solve,
emailing
though,
me.
because they have to let the people try to LinkedIn friend you.
Okay,
I just don't use the email product. And
LinkedIn's really thirsty. I mean, the people on LinkedIn are super thirsty.
It's a very thirsty client.
It's just a thirsty scene.
It's a very thirsty scene.
And then, good friend, VP of product at a startup. You know what startups need to do? Hire. You know what they need to do in order to hire? Communicate with people. And LinkedIn InMail is a good way to do that unless you're a premium subscriber and it doesn't work and you cannot contact their customer support. Period. Like you can't get, there are Google threads galore on how you can't get in touch with LinkedIn. And so then he gets in touch with them and they say, oh, that seems to be like a relatively small isolated issue. There's no ETA for a fix. He's like, I pay, and this is the LinkedIn story. They have no good customer service. You just feel like they don't listen to you. And at some point, it's like, what do you do for me? What do you do?
Startup has none of these companies have good customer service. None of these tech companies.
They never want to pick up the phone.
Yeah. Uber doesn't have a phone number. Come on.
No, it's considered death. And once you have that, you have to solve problems with but they
then you have to have humans to answer.
Well, they do it on email. If you hit reply to any Uber email and say the person didn't take the direct route, like I've done that maybe 3 or 4 times in the last 5 years, they immediately charge you the direct route. And I have people say, my driver didn't take the direct route. I'm like, did you hit reply and tell customer support that? It says hit reply. And they've literally 4 times corrected it.
You want to pick up a phone and call.
No, Amazon was famous for that. They had no phone number.
Exactly.
You can't call Amazon, period.
You can now.
You can?
Yeah, I called him.
Really?
Yeah, and it was I had a great experience.
What they say?
Was it an American call center?
Yeah. And you super nice lady, and I said, "Oh, I ordered this thing, but I accidentally sent it to the wrong address because I moved. And can you cancel it and order a new one?" She was like, "No problem."
We're all
and
just
what? This is Steve. You know what? This is the thing is, Bezos
you know what I
is
did?
effing
That
with
would
us
never
now.
happen at LinkedIn.
Because Bezos is trolling everybody now. This is my new theory. First, now he's picking up the phone as a call center, and they're delightful. Second, he's opening up bookstores. Yeah. So he went and he killed all the bookstores. And he's like, hey, by the way, everybody, I'm opening bookstores. It's like, who is this guy, Donald Trump?
Remember back in the good old days of that movie, You've Got Mail, when Barnes & Noble was the greatest evil that ever walked the earth? And then
best
now,
movie of all
I love
time.
that movie so
I love
much.
that movie so much.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I liked it.
I'm more of a Notting Hill fan, I'll be totally honest. My rom-com list is Notting Hill is number one.
No, You've Got Mail.
Hands down.
You've Got Mail is my number one rom-com in life.
Really?
And
You've Got Mail?
Yep, it's my number one rom-com.
You've
so
never
nerdy.
have you seen Notting Hill?
Yeah.
I've seen it 15 times.
It's my
Notting Hill's my favorite. Anytime
just one more thing there. For Horse and Hound magazine, for the readers of Horse and Hound, would you find it practical that you would in some way have a message for the readers of Horse and Hound?
It's a lovely
I love
movie.
Hugh.
I know, it's Hugh at his best. Before he got weird.
Best.
Before he got a little weird.
He could get a little weird. He got a little weird.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. But remember when Barnes & Noble was so evil? So evil, and you would see them and you'd want to throw an egg, and now you walk by a barn. Now I go there out of pity. I feel bad for Barnes & Noble. It's like my local bookstore. I'm like, Peanut, poor
I kind of feel that same way about Jeb Bush. I'm kind of like, Jeb Bush? I'm kind of like Jeb. I'll clap for you.
The Jester. Ooh, was that not the most brutal New York Times tweet black box you've ever seen that just said, it was just a black box and it said, please clap in white letters?
Yeah, somebody over there has got a sense of
shed a
humor with those
tear.
black boxes on your
Man, it takes a lot for me to feel sympathetic for a Bush.
A Bush at all.
And
Zero. Like
I really do.
I feel bad for him.
I just want to hold him. Just give up.
Well, you know what it feels like?
I want to hug him, but I don't want to vote for him.
He's got to get out of there.
I mean, it's sort of
Just
like,
go.
dude,
Go back to
He's got to go home.
it's like the GOP, your own party. Like, everybody hates your family so much that even
I don't think
your
they hate
own
Bush.
party doesn't want to vote for you anymore.
No. Oh, well, no, you mean the people. But
The Republicans.
The Republican establishment loves Bush, obviously.
Okay, whatever. Maybe
But
they're making a
you mean
library
the
from
people of the Republican world.
the members of the Republican Party
establishment at
are
this point?
like,
It's like you can't even tell.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He's like, but nope.
Yeah.
No. They're like out of the question.
Sorry.
No. And he's still going. It's like, just get out of the
You're
race.
probably a secret Trumpkin, aren't you?
Well, I will say this about Trump. I will say this about
My
Trump.
dad's a Trumpkin. He calls himself that, so
like
that's
that.
why I feel comfortable
Here's
using
what
that slur.
it gives me hope. I'll tell you what. That a person
is
with
disgusting.
so little skill, but the ability to talk and capture people's attention
You see yourself.
can go so far. This to me gives me hope that I can
You
be the
with the
mayor.
wig.
I am going to be the mayor of this damn city.
Do that. Actually, just do that, please.
I've
could
got
be
the
Donald
domain
Trump.
name mayorjason.com,
That's disgusting.
and I am emboldened by Trump's ability to talk over people, to capture attention, and to speak nonsense.
To insult anyone on Twitter.
To insult people. No, I mean, I
You
think
got this.
No, I got this. Yeah.
God.
So, what do you think LinkedIn has to do to turn this around, Nellie? If anything.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
But on a
here's the
product
thing.
basis, like
You know, on a
it's-
product basis, I actually like a lot of the stuff they're doing. It's like Dan Roth, is that who it is? Who's the editor?
the influencers is great.
The influencers that I found myself reading LinkedIn stories.
Dan Roth's good. He's a good editor.
And
Their
I
content's good, and
yeah, their
Lynn's good.
content's great. And you know, as a journalist, I use it. So I find it to be sort of useful. I'm kind of surprised that their stock just dropped 40%. Like I didn't.
They're
see
really
that
making.
coming.
I think they're making progress on the product. One of the things
It's
you have
still
to realize,
annoying. It's still like an annoying service.
I
But the
want
work
them-
life is annoying. It is the social product of the working world, which is an annoying world.
LinkedIn can
Yeah.
be super useful in many ways, but they need to make those ways more obvious, right? It needs to be
Yeah.
easier to access the trove of usefulness that is locked
Yes.
up inside LinkedIn, and it needs to not be buried. But again, like this is
What do
where
you find the most annoying? The in-mail stuff?
yeah,
People contacting you is just
and
too
the
much.
interface. It's sort like
Still
the
clunky.
interface makes me insane. It is
It's busy.
super clunky. It's super busy. Like I don't want to click a thing and have a drop down on the messages and not be able to tell if I'm opening the messages or not. Like it's just ridiculous.
Like the inbox is not modern enough.
No.
I think what they should do with the
It
inbox.
could be a messaging platform that would be super powerful, and it is.
Yeah.
That's
The new
a
app is
great
pretty
move
good.
for
The
them,
new app's
and
getting
it's
better.
just,
And it's getting faster. But I've talked to Jeff about this because Benedict Evans was just like, he just destroys them on Twitter. And then Jeff Weiner, to his
Benedict
credit.
Evans doing a tweet storm? What?
Exactly. The people at Andreessen Horowitz, we're smarter than you. That's their new tagline at Andreessen Horowitz. We're smarter than you.
Oh, I thought you were saying from us. I was like,
No, they're just smarter than everybody. That's
just
sort
ask
of their.
them. They'll tell you.
that's
They'll
their
tell
brand.
you on Twitter, like that's their approach. It's like, we're really brilliant and we're going to prove it to you on Twitter.
No, but all this stuff, focusing in on LinkedIn's actual, I think that your instinct is right, that this is about the market in general is twitchy and nervous, and there is a sense that Silicon Valley is about to fall, which I've written about too. Like there's definitely that nervousness, and I don't even know if the 40% is like accurately, like I don't even know if 40% is how much it should have dropped accurately to how
Yeah.
bad the product is. Because it's not that bad as far as I can tell.
This is definitely where.
and their earnings weren't that bad.
No, their earnings weren't that bad. Their
Like, I
guidance
don't-
was a little bit weak.
So I think it's like a sign
they
of the
need
market.
some competition, but yes, this is where Kai Ryssdal would say the market is not the economy and the economy is not the market.
Right.
Like their market cap right now, their stock price is not necessarily indicative of their health. What it's
Right.
indicative of is that investors have gotten so used to phenomenal growth out of these companies. Apple has
I know, I
been
was gonna say
suffering
Apple.
the exact same punishment where they've said, look, Apple has not said this out loud, but Apple is a company on the verge of becoming a value buy and
Right.
not a growth stock.
Yeah, it's like
And
a dividend buying stock.
no
Like,
investor-
We know we're going to sell this many phones.
Right, and no investor wants to see that happen to a tech company because tech companies are where they feel safe. That's where they feel like they can continue to get growth, phenomenal growth. So to see any one of
Certainly
them
not this
stumble,
year.
they're basically just like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Dear Uber, when are you going to go public? Because we would love
would love some growth.
give us some of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's Twitter stock at right now?
We don't talk about Twitter stuff.
I know that people have been looking at taking it private. So that's
Twitter?
going around.
Wow,
Yeah. Twitter and
really?
Yahoo, there's a lot of private talk going on right now.
Oh, private Twitter makes sense. As far as go back to the mission-driven companies, that's a company that seems, at least from the outside, to be a mission-driven company.
You know what the thing is when
Twitter
you're
totally worked when it was the Valley's charity project.
they make a lot of money, actually. They're money and influence they have, Twitter. They just don't have growth, right?
Right.
And then Facebook has money and growth, but they don't have like this influence where like the journalists and the celebrities want to be on that platform. They just don't want to be over there. One of the things about LinkedIn is interesting is if you're a super router, like a journalist or an investor/journalist or investor who does random acts of journalism, like you have a different experience or a CEO on that platform. And that's what I've been telling Jeff on Twitter and then just also privately, like I just said to him, like, you got to have an experience for, I don't want to say the elite, but for the super routers. Mm-hmm. So if you're somebody that 1,000 people want to get in touch with a day, as opposed to somebody who wants to get in touch with 1,000 people a day, right? Or 100 people a day. Like there's two different experiences. And the whole system is designed for the people who are trying to get in touch with important people, not for the experience of important people on the platform. So important people are constantly like, I cannot take LinkedIn. I'm getting too many emails, too many requests, and the signal to noise is messed up. There's got to be a button where you can just say like, I only want to have these people contact me, and everybody else goes to the second inbox.
Yes.
But then they can't sell me or you to the hoi polloi, right? And that's their problem. Because if people like us started churning off the ability for people to reach us, that screws them up. Yeah. So people have this perception that I'm reading their emails when I'm not. I literally have not looked at my friend requests. I think I have 25,000 friend requests. Yeah, I literally have not looked at my friend requests in 6 or 7 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I opened it and I was like, 37,000 people. What?
I use it like a white pages. That's
how I use it.
Yeah, it's like you just see where someone's at.
A little bit of white pages. It's a little bit of story ideas. Like there's a whole thing about looking at LinkedIn to see what people are working on in secret at companies. There's all kinds of like good.
Or see who left where. That's useful.
Oh, by the way,
totally
Theranos
dishy.
does not allow you to put Theranos on your LinkedIn.
Oh, that's crazy.
That was like in Glassdoor.
So when I get that writer job, I'm going to have to like be super secret.
You don't. That's the thing. You're going to get the job, Molly, and you won't be able to tell anybody. And so where's the joy in that? You land the dream job.
Yeah.
Working for a visionary in a turtleneck, and you can't.
But
you know what the thing about the thing? I'll tell you the thing though.
So good at fiction writing.
They do write about Zuckerberg's. Yeah, your fiction is so strong. It's a good pivot for you. You could go fiction.
It's a good pivot.
But Zuckerberg is all about wearing the uniform. So people do obsess over his uniform thing. I think the uniform thing is like.
I think they would obsess about that with anybody. Anybody who came out with such a noticeable uniform would probably, especially the black turtleneck. It is so.
The press will make you into what they want you to be, like for their needs. Like
what? What are you talking about?
Not this press. I'm talking about the other press. But like
journalists are terrible.
No, when you have to get a magazine cover, you're like, well, who's tall and good looking? Oh, Winklevi. Put the Winklevis on here. Or Kim. Remember Kim Polisi? Polisi is how you pronounce her name? Kim Polisi. She did Marimba back in the day.
Yes.
And she was like one of the first female tech CEOs, and like she was on the cover of everything. She was in every ad campaign. They just like sort of made her larger than life, and
I call it good TV. If you're good TV, you're getting the coverage.
Yeah, I'm good too. All right, next
Jason wants to
topic.
be in the magazine cover. Jason's like, I'm a handsome man too.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm a 6, but you know what? I'm married.
But your wife is a 10.
I'm married at 10, so that's an 8 average. Listen, I got to figure it out. Okay, the Yahoo free fall continues. They laid off 15%, which most people believe is 35% too little. Their new strategy is to invest, maintain, or kill.
Just brutal. That's like.
Is that like that's F, marry, kill, right?
Yeah, I think so. I play that game all the time.
I know.
Honestly, every
I'm not a
company should play that
CEO.
game, though. I have to be honest.
Yes.
Like that's a good strategy. They should have been playing that for like maybe a lot of years.
And now there is a gender discrimination lawsuit against filed by men because men feel that Marissa was too preferential to the female leadership, but all the female leadership and male leadership has left her. What do you think about and God, Recode has just absolutely dominated for Yahoo. Your former.
I've never heard anything about Yahoo. I don't hear about this. I never hear about this on.
I mean, I don't know if you read in Recode, but in Recode, they literally had the welcome manual. Did you see that story about the welcome manual? Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Seriously, let's talk about Yahoo for a second.
Yeah.
Marissa seemed to do a great job in the beginning of people wanted to work there again. People were willing to sell their companies to them. There was a sense of hope. She seemed to get the culture right. Everybody got free food. Everybody got iPhones. People were really jazzed and excited for the first 18 months. I actually gave her an A+ for the first 18 months. And then something happened where she never got focused or what?
She should have fired a bunch of people right from the get-go.
She should have done this. You know what I think happened is that she got distressed. So the narrative that is often forgotten about bringing Marissa Mayer to Yahoo, especially as I see people call for, including some of my previous colleagues, call for her to be more product focused or be more entertainment focused. I think to myself, okay, look, she was brought on because Yahoo made a very deliberate choice to step away from media and entertainment with Ross Levinson and become a product company.
Which means
and they brought on Marissa.
Which means email.
And it means the mobile apps, get on the mobile product situation.
Right.
They brought her on to be a product guru, which she is. And she did kick ass at that. And then pretty soon she became a media person. She got super into, the David Pogue thing, the Katie Couric thing. She started investing.
Not the best picker of talent, huh?
Total.
Well, they're like really old school. I mean, I'm totally crimping Kara Swisher's notes, obviously. She knows she's the one who is breaking all of this.
Horribly.
But
the talent picking was horrible.
Yeah.
David Pogue is like the laugh that tech journalist.
Well, but also, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? If you're going to be a product company, do your product.
Yeah. Right.
Double down on the tech, double down on the product. That's what they brought her in for. They said, we don't want to do this
Yahoo Studios thing anymore. She tried to do media and she tried to do product, didn't do either well.
She picked the media stars of the wrong generation. I mean, it's like...
That to me was mind-blowing.
I don't even care who she picked.
Yeah.
Kill the media. Yeah. Kill it.
And now she's going to.
Full quote
and
right
now
there.
she's going to.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
So is that her fault?
I love the media. It is her fault.
It is.
Well, it's sort of like when yes and no. It's her fault because as CEO, you should have the focus and you should have the discipline to say, look, I'm going to have to kill some babies here. That's what happens.
F, marry, kill.
But it's kind of like when you run for president and you're Barack Obama and you have all the promises in the world, and then you realize that the government is set up to preserve the status quo. So is a public company. It's got so many stakeholders, so much politics, it's got the board, it's got the shareholders, it's got this and that. It is inherently a complex system that will resist change. And so there is probably only so much you can do to really be dramatic.
These big sort of seismic changes in the market's happening. I don't know.
And you've invested so much money in things like Yahoo Studios and Yahoo Screen.
I think Yahoo's done. Yahoo's dead. I'm almost bored of the Yahoo story. And I'm like, you know what? I want journalists to go after
people using it every month, though.
Yeah,
so unlike AOL, which was the dial-up business, which it definitely was trending to zero, the Yahoo business actually is maintained. They've maintained some amount of uniques, so it still has some value.
I think it has value, and I think it had value if you could figure out how to be a utility.
Does it technically have value? Isn't it just?
No, it technically has no value because people are.
Speaking of dollars,
it's sort of like Zynga, where they're
people have done the math on this. And
it literally has negative value when you look at the market cap. And Zynga had the same thing, which is the super vote of no confidence. Just investors are so not into it that they value it below the assets. In other words,
look at AOL.
Yeah.
Right? AOL pivoted into a media company hard. And they drive so many streams. They are making money for advertisers, for clients. That is a company that should be absolutely irrelevant and isn't. There's no reason.
They picked a destination, they went there.
There's no reason that Yahoo
They gave up on
irrelevant.
search, they gave up on AOL email, they gave up on Instant Messenger, and they said, we're just going to buy TechCrunch, Huffington Post, Engadget, whatever, and just go full bore content.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think Marissa Mayer did not pick a path.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think looking at Yahoo sort of historically is interesting. Thinking about what it meant for the internet, and its sun has set, and that's okay, and that's what happens. I mean, and then at the same time, you also and you see other seismic with Google surpassing Apple.
Time to say goodnight. Yahoo.
It's disgusting. But you see these.
We should do a duet. That was beautiful.
It's not Gmail.
It's time to say goodnight.
FYI, for those listening, the tension in the room, I could just.
If the F marry kill, she says, did she actually say invest, maintain, kill? Did she use those?
I don't know if that's reported or.
I think it might be reported. Jackie to get a confirmation
reported.
on that, because I think that's a little bit controversial to use that metaphor, but I think she did.
I don't know if it's a quote or just, but I think she did use it. It is those are the words being used.
Like,
I don't know if she
not to
publicly
be
said
like all cold-hearted and madman here, but like, why isn't that your approach to everything you're doing in life and business?
what I'm curious about is to use something that has a sexual innuendo and is crass.
It doesn't.
F, marry, kill doesn't?
She didn't say F, marry, kill.
Invest,
I know, but she said invest, maintain, kill.
Maintain, or kill.
Which is obviously the 3-word, and kill is the end of it. So it's exactly parallel.
Doubt
By
she's
reading into
thinking
it,
about
it's a coincidence.
sexual innuendo.
I definitely did not get that ever until you said it, and I was like, hee hee hee.
No, but isn't F...
Because I'm 14.
Okay, but no, but my point is, it's a direct reference, is it not? To F, marry, kill.
I don't know.
Okay, because...
That did come from you. I never thought that.
Well, invest, maintain, kill.
If this were like a little
F,
startup.
marry, kill.
No, I know. If this were a little startup, but because of her like media taste, like I don't know if that would come into her mind. I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Or you know
think
what it could be?
Also, wait, why does that matter?
I'm just curious that it is kind of like a crass thing to say. So I was
You're
wondering,
calling something crass,
yes,
Jason?
I am, exactly. Thank you for calling me out. But I'm just saying it's weird to hear from a public
drawing
CEO
the
that
line.
metaphors, and that's why I was wondering if she said it or not, or if it's something a journalist ascribed to what she said. That was all my interest.
By a journalist, you mean Kara Swisher?
Or anybody. Oh yeah, could have been Kara Swisher's
I'm pretty sure that's the
crassness.
story, right?
Speaking of crass,
No, I don't.
Hey-o.
I don't think it's crass at all. I think if I created 3
Yeah.
buckets, I would totally naively be like, "This is the one we're investing in. This is where we're going to maintain, and this is where we're going to kill." And I don't think it would ever occur to me.
I would do it even not naively.
let's talk a little bit about San Francisco and what a disaster the city is. Molly, maybe you could talk about how much we spent on the Super Bowl
Molly's face.
and who's paying for
It's
this.
just heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. I remember
Is this the worst city?
6 or 7 years ago, just being like, I kind of want to write an article about how San Francisco's just awful now. It's just awful.
Get out of here, guys. That's
Or
fine.
worst run city is what I'm saying.
So the city of San Francisco spent $5 million of taxpayer funds on Super Bowl related activities. It disappeared the homeless. So I was at Super Bowl City yesterday, which is the weird, crazy
That's
installation.
Moscone Center.
I wasn't at Moscone. I was down at the one on Barcadero. So there's
there's one
two.
there's
They're
two.
all over. Yeah, they're all over the place.
This
It's taken
place
over the whole
is
thing.
like come to a standstill, by the way, for people watching at home. Yeah.
You know what, though? I have to say, okay, when I drive to the city, I drive past downtown because I work out of KQED or host out of there, and it's in the middle of nowhere. But all due respect, KQED, it's hard to get to. But right now, everyone has been so effectively terrified by Super
That they
Bowl
don't even
City
go there.
that no one's driving
down.
to San Francisco.
Oh, that's great.
The traffic from the East Bay has been beautiful. I'm like, stay, Super Bowl, stay. But it is a creepy, sterile, branded theme park down there right now, and it's a huge installation. Like, it is a huge accomplishment to have built this crazy thing that they built. I just don't know what. I mean, I read an article that said all the fancy business restaurants like Boulevard are reporting that their business is cut in half right now.
Cut in half, not doubled.
No, cut in half because
Ay.
people are going to the pubs, like the beer and potato chips places, but. Wow, that sounded really snobby. But that's where they're going. But
To the pubs.
they're going to the pubs.
People are going to the pubs.
For chips and beers.
For the sports ball, people enjoy the
Yes.
hamburgers.
I think also San
hamburgers.
Francisco has a little PTSD after what happened with America's Cup. And so where like the city was completely screwed. Can we say screwed?
Yeah.
Where the city was
Sure.
completely
Thought
screwed.
we said F, marry, kill.
And I think we were like, okay, there have been these like sort of rich people telling us these sporting events are going to bring money. And
And then why did the city have
And
to
they
spend
don't. And
anything?
why would
Shouldn't
they?
the Super Bowl be
Well,
paying for
that's
this?
it. Santa
One would
Clara.
think.
Okay, well, the Super Bowl committee, the steering committee, raised $50 million of money and from mostly tech companies to spend on these events. So it wasn't all. But here's the thing: the city of Santa Clara managed to negotiate with the NFL to get them to pay back the $3.5 million that they're spending to host the Super Bowl, whereas San Francisco did not. It was basically just like, here's the $5 million. We're not going to spend this on picking up the poop. We're just going to
how
spend
am
it
I
on.
shocked that Ed Lee didn't negotiate well? with
Ed
the-
Lee, in related news, his staff has been taking bribes and is somehow involved with a guy named Shrimp Boy in Chinatown. Which, by the way, if you're involved in any way with somebody named Shrimp Boy, like with a nickname like that, be careful. Like Shrimp Boy will cut your goddamn hand off.
Did you see the interview? There was a whole interview with Shrimp Boy on one of the local news stations.
Yo, this is getting
He's
crazy.
Scary.
So
the
there
corruption in the city has actually. I read that. I read a whole bunch of things about the gold rush. The corruption in San Francisco has basically always been epic.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
But
Are you Season of the Witch? Is that what you're listening to? The David Talbot
Season
book?
of the Witch, and then also
Incredible.
Season of the Witch is an amazing book. And then there's also the
I want to have him
the
on the
Baroque,
show.
the Baroque age. Anyway, San Francisco is known throughout history as being a totally corrupt boom and bust city. It's just that somehow we forgot that.
Yeah.
And right now it is a completely corrupt boom city. Like,
For sure,
completely.
yeah. Ed Lee, this guy seems to me like there is something that's going to come out on him, because if you have people around you saying it's pay to play and people are taking money to get meetings with him, and
He's so shady.
he's so shady, and then he seems to be in the pocket. I mean, I hate to say this, but it feels like the tech industry bought and sold him long ago.
They did.
Long ago.
They absolutely did.
So, I mean, it's kind of like the tech industry's then kind of got some level of corruption here or something with him. But this city, the amount
Wait,
of
a giant money manufacturing.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Of course, the tech industry is completely complicit in the corruption of buying and selling San Francisco.
Just walk around the city. The infrastructure is decaying. The streets are a mess. It's. I mean, I grew up here, so like I have some.
Is this the worst it's ever
attachment.
been?
My historical perspective is tough because I'm 27. So
Right, but anyway, as a 20, but yeah, listen. So anyway, in the last 20 years, you remember like what's gone on. Is like
No,
is it the worst
it's
the last
gotten
2 decades?
prettier. No, it's gotten prettier. It's gotten wealthier. It's gotten nicer. You couldn't say it's gotten worse by any means. Like the Embarcadero used to be a mess. Hayes Valley used to be under a freeway, and now look at it. It's fantastic. So it's not that the city's bad in that way. It's that the inequality is more visible than it's ever been. At least from walking, the homelessness seems worse than it's ever been. I just find it like in this boom, it's more astonishing to see the problems that the city has.
Yeah.
And to see the BART and stuff. Maybe it just didn't stand out as much when I was a kid, and BART didn't seem quite as bad because we didn't have the sort of wealth that's in San Francisco now.
I think the civic responsibility has been utterly abandoned. I really do. And I feel like I've been here.
the most unequal.
I've been here 16, 17 years, and it's.
Last I checked, I think it's the second most unequal city in America, right beneath Atlanta, as of like a couple years ago. But now it probably is the most unequal city in America. I'm not 100% sure, but like it's a shockingly unequal place.
Yeah.
Like, that is the issue of our time, and San Francisco is a harbinger of what's going to come for the rest of the U.S.
Yeah, it's a really having come from New York and Los Angeles. It's very interesting to watch the dynamic here of like the NIMBYism, where people don't want to have not in my backyard, anything occurs. And then there's no transportation infrastructure. It doesn't get better. So like there's no way to move people around. And then this inability to deal with 7,000 homeless people. I mean, we have 7,000 homeless people. Like the amount of money they're spending on just these 7,000 homeless people, they should be able to put them in housing first units. Yeah. And then the absolute lawlessness. The cops told me they're not allowed to like put people in jail for petty crimes anymore, or even misdemeanor crimes. So like people who are stealing, it's just like you can steal and get out of jail the same day with a ticket. Mm-hmm. So the criminals obviously know exactly how to game the system. And
I don't think the solution is
everybody.
tougher. I don't think the solution is tougher policing. I think the solution is having a culture. Yeah, that is Bloomberg line. I think that the solution is having a culture that actually values public goods rather than a culture that values private buses and private Ubers.
Yeah,
and a culture that one that values public infrastructure, which the tech world, you cannot convince them to get behind it.
Bloomberg takes the subway. Like, if you're a New Yorker, you take the subway. Like, the richest New Yorkers still take the subway.
Bloomberg also disappeared a lot of homeless people.
No, that was Giuliani.
That was Giuliani. You're right. You're right.
But anyway, I'm saying housing first. So the last thing I'm saying is tougher policing. I'm saying give them a goddamn home.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the most compassionate thing you can do. Because, by the way, if you give them a $12,000 home outside of the city, and I do think shipping them outside of the city is a very good idea, because if you're in the city and there's nowhere for you to stay that's affordable, better to find you a $1,000 apartment an hour outside the city and give it to you for free and use that as an incentive for you to start your life over and reboot. Because how does anybody going to go from being homeless to being productive in the middle of a metropolitan area where rents are $4,000 a month? It's too far of a gap, too far of a chasm to cross.
Just in terms of like the NIMBY-YIMBY fight, like that.
What is that? Explain what that means.
So I know NIMBY is not in my backyard, and it's this idea of like, yeah, sure, maybe build a high rise for all those Google workers, but not here in my pretty neighborhood. Nob Hill's so pretty, we don't need a high rise. And then YIMBYs are this new group that's growing that's saying, yes, in my backyard, yes, development, yes, build high rises, like we can handle that. And And the NIMBYs it's basically this groups of wealthy landowning San Franciscans have managed to convince like sort of liberal social activists in the Mission that building new housing will actually make the housing crisis worse. That if you build these, quote, luxury condos that get sort of demonized, then you'll be more gentrified out. When the reality is, like, basic economics, I mean, if you build more, you'll help with the supply issue.
Yeah,
but it's
more places to live.
It's a strange alliance that's
so
the
landowners are duping the social activists into saying these apartments
100%.
are going to screw things up, so go protest.
100%.
When in fact, if you put 1,000 apartments up, that might take some of the desire to live in the Mission or Noe or wherever. It might relieve a little of that stress. It'd be like a pressure cooker being released.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing, like my parents, and they're actually pretty YIMBY-ish.
Yeah.
But the last thing my parents, who own a house in Pacific Heights, would want is an apartment building on their block.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's what has to happen. Like, someone has to build housing. Google's going to keep hiring. Uber's hiring.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can rant about San Francisco real estate for hours.
It's interesting. You also wrote a story about the Castro, the gay community getting displaced. Is that like a serious?
Different. That's a different story because that's. The Castro is like the historically gay neighborhood of San Francisco, and it's now becoming.
I mean, it's also the gay capital of the United States. Wouldn't
Yes.
it be considered the place where it was most acceptable to be gay in the United States?
100%.
Yeah.
And what's happening there is, I mean, it's still super gay. Like, I live there. I count for like 10. But it's still super gay. But it's I mean, that's a different story because it's like a victim of its own success in a lot of ways. Gays don't need to just live in the gay ghetto anymore. We can live anywhere. And,
Right.
And like,
that's not the only safe place to live.
Exactly. I can go to any bar I want and like be gay.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's its own whole issue.
Yeah.
But again, there's still the conflict with
the bros, tech bros. So yeah, you can't think of a more odd mixture of a bunch of tech bros taking over like a gay bar. Is that actually like literally happening where tech bros are like, there's no straight bars and they're going and hanging out in the gay bars?
I didn't know it was happening. Then I started chatting around and apparently that's a thing.
Really?
I don't know. I think
Wait,
people are just
straight
moving-
tech bros are going to the gay bar?
Well, straight women have understood for decades that gay bars are super fun. So it's no surprise that the tech bros are figuring it out too. Plus, some of them
these
are
tech
probably
bros might be a
Some of
little
them-
experimental.
some of them.
That's all I'm saying.
This may shock you, but some of them might be gay.
There
Yes.
could be gay tech bros. Yes.
You
yes.
could be gay and
no,
a bro.
you can't be a bra and be gay.
Oh yeah,
No.
man. Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Do you think this would be like a new
Bro,
closet?
PC principle. Wait a second.
I gotta go. Help me.
You have to go.
I
Okay.
can go.
Molly's gonna
No,
go.
Molly.
I know.
And
You guys can do this all day.
we're going to.
Listen, I gotta-
Molly's got to go.
sorry.
I have to go too. Everybody's got to
Goodbye.
go. We're going to wrap up and yada yada yada. Yeah, we got everything. All right. Thanks to our sponsors, Wistia. This has been an amazing program. Thanks to DigitalOcean. Of course, thanks to Molly Wood of Marketplace. You can follow her at Molly Wood. And Nellie Bowles, who is Nellie Bowles, Nellie Bowles. And you can read about the gay Castro bras in the Castro in The Guardian.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on that new gig. Thanks to Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie. And we'll see you all next time. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Bye-bye.